Peace. This is Star with the Star Blooms. So I came out of, I had a vision and I kept on basically, I perceived a lot in this vision. Some of the stuff I'm being guided not to basically share, but then there's this rate of, I don't know why I'm saying twisted mentality. Um, yeah, I don't know why I'm saying twisted mentality, but I had processed. You could wait, Mama. We'll do it in a second. This is gonna be real quick. I promise. I had processed coming out of it. I heard the words spiritual GPS, spiritual GPS, right? And good God, and it's so amazing because I be wanting to have clarifiers. A lot of the times, y'all, I don't be needing these cards, but I like using them, especially when you get certain decks because it could give you like it allows you to read. Okay. Um, Coming into the live yesterday, everything is supposedly sometimes a coincidence, but sometimes coincidental things are especially meant when they happen. And if you allow them to kind of like move past you, they'll just move past you. Sometimes they'll come back. I didn't allow it to move past me. I had said in the live, the chamber of projection. And then as I was meditating, and I even in my dream, I perceived this rate of energy projecting, desiring to basically cause a rate of anger. And the reason why the anger was caused is because there's a certain reaction that is required. And I also feel like it's desired in order for misalignment to occur, in order for, thank you, Spirit. In order for, yeah, that's crazy because I see this on the deck. It says smoke signals. Something subtle is trying to get your attention. Don't wait for the full fire to believe it's real. And that's kind of what I got in the dream. It's this rate of knowing your own technology. That is the spiritual GPS part. The projections part, knowing your own technology. Not necessarily just knowing your own technology, but knowing how you are in your being and how even misregulation can be regulated if you are intentional about potential outcomes that you recognize based off of your desire to react and respond. At certain rates, when you're dealing with the old story, because that's what I've been basically sitting with, twisted narratives. Sometimes we sit in a space clinging to a version of events that allows us to stay angry, stay right, and stay stuck. And a lot of the times that becomes this cage guarded, in this space in your heart, where the walls may put you in this space that you're being protected. But they're just keeping everything out, including what could actually heal you, right? And a lot of the times we don't recognize how love is really the medicine. Being strong doesn't always have to come, with the silent resilience. There's a part of you that just needs to be held and allowed in a space where you get to basically receive what it is that you've sown. However, a lot of the times in certain rates of soft strength, it takes a great, it, I don't want to I'm trying to make it fast so I can get back to my baby. When I basically perceive GPS, my mind, close the door, because you're doing a whole lot. Okay, not right now. Y'all, because I be wanting to give it to her. Like, whatever it is that she need. Because she don't be asking, neither of us. We don't be asking for a whole lot, you know. And that's knowing your technology. When you have things that either you're projecting on. We say this a lot. But projections is like recognizing that not everything that you feel is factual and is actually connected to you, right? And when I was talking yesterday about how the mind be outside of the body, right? Sometimes your mind is feeling in blanks with old stories. And if you recognize, if you go back to the space where your heart is like guarded and you're not allowing love to be the medicine, you're not wanting to burn the old script where you don't have to keep on playing the part either that you wrote or that you basically filled in the place for others. You don't recognize how there's so many pockets and holes in the spaces that, I don't know why I'm seeing like barbed wires, y'all, like with your heart space. Like sometimes pain could come in like really, really deep. But if you don't allow yourself to feel in order to heal, sometimes you basically get into this rate of surviving, a system, even sometimes surviving your nervous system. Um, and it's hard to be beyond a space where you actually start to feel safe, right? And be at the rate to where you could truly really live in your power, because a lot of the things become, I don't know if I'm saying like ego driven, but it's not even just ego driven. If you recognize previously going into a rate of being able to go into something and properly perceive it, right? Because the whole conversation that I was having in spirit was direction, and how you have this spiritual compass that kind of beep 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 beams you to this space where you allow it to, as long as that you're in flow, right? But then there's these hiccups that sometimes stop your progress and your egress when you come into these rates of discomfort. It could be in your heart space, it could be within the body itself. We don't recognize how much sitting in certain rates of victim mode, right? Giving our wound a voice and allowing it to basically be this amplified state that loudly, projects places. I feel like that's kind of ego driven. Wanting to be above like the resolution of what could actually bring things into harmony. A lot of the times we don't recognize that when we're dealing with certain rates of projection, it be things that either be placed on us or that we try to place on other people because we don't want to face them within. And then a lot of the times when you allow yourself to go to this rate of facing them within, sometimes you get to this rate of, I don't know why I feel like harboring guilt, harboring shame based off of how you finally allow yourself to fully perceive you. And you don't be knowing, we don't know how it is that we're showing up if we weren't taught, if we didn't have like this awareness. And then finding the awareness, sometimes you'll try to blame the version of you that didn't have the awareness. So then when you try to get out of the spaces, it's hard for you to live in this playful area to where you really get to be in the new story, because you start to see all of the telltale signs on people that you are aware that you wore. You'll want people to basically come into this awareness with you, which sometimes could also play a part in survival mode. You won't allow your heart to be open because you recognize that there are red flags in certain situations. I don't know what that means, God. I don't know what that means. Being able to be at this rate to where you're willing to look without flinching and letting the truth be the compass for you, even when things seem dire, allowing yourself to recognize that the past be looking forward, not necessarily be looking back. And what do I mean by that? A lot of the times we always want to stay in this rate where we're constantly reliving, procrastinating, I'm hearing spirit say, not allowing ourselves to be in step with the things that we are, because we know that there are certain things that need to be rectified. However, a lot of the times you don't recognize how you make the adjustments by continuing to move forward. Some people will mistake what I'm saying as this rate of running away from problems. It is not. It is basically where you allow yourself to feel in order to heal, allowing the wound to basically be at a rate to where it recognizes that you are no longer in refusal of allowing it to be at a rate to where it's dug up. because we bury the things that we aren't allowing ourselves to feel. Those are the things that become the monarchs. They become, the giants in our spaces. They become the thing that allows us to be at this rate to where we fade away in ego, not really wanting to be able to sit in our power by being unapologetic about the things that we do now know to be true, our truth, our dreams, having our voice, and recognize it and being in a centered state of calm because your wisdom has grounded you in this rate of stillness. If you have the opportunity to align yourself with certain paths where you could recognize where you may be holding on to something that you don't innately feel and that you can't connect to a truth with you, and just go over it in meditation, okay? Peace.